everyone, this is Danai.
Concerning the image of the Aosaginohi, Ashian Tosayama describes it in his paintings of the present and the past monster. He described it as follows. When an aged blue heron flies at night, its feathers will glow, and under the light, one can see its sharp and scary mouth. It's the blue light that surrounds the night heron at night, like a flame. Legend has it that when a heron reaches a certain age, it can fly at night with both wings. When the wings spread out, the firelight shines. The huge wings are spread out. The firelight shines brightly on its face, and its eyes sparkle too. Its long, sharp beak, with its clear lines, makes it look ghostly and miserable. Most legends consider Aosaginohi to be a strange fire. A few say that it emits the light of honor. People who return home late in the evening worship it as a god, to pray for a good harvest and the safety of their families. Unlike modern times, the nights in ancient times were very dark. Therefore, when you saw a light-colored bird on a moonlit night, you naturally felt that it was glowing. It is natural that a light-colored bird will look like it is emitting light. On a bright moonlit night, the light emitted by the 5 Aosaginohi was even more dazzling. If a big 5 Aosaginohi stands by the river, it really looks like a person standing there. Anyone who sees it would be frightened. It is not surprising that they are regarded as monsters. In the past, when the emperor was traveling to the Garden of the Divine Spring, he came across a big Aosaginohi. He ordered the 6 officials to capture it. The Aosaginohi was so agile and cunning that it was difficult to catch. The 6 officials had to announce to the Aosaginohi that it was an imperial decree, although the Aosaginohi was unwilling to obey the order of the 6 officials. It was willing to obey the emperor's order and listen to the emperor's order. After the 6 officials had presented the Aosaginohito to the emperor was deeply touched and gave the Aosaginohito 5 positions in the imperial court, allowing it to be promoted to the kingly hall. The Aosaginohito was allowed to enter the Hall of Brightness and the Great Hall of the Palace. The light emanating from its feathers is considered to be a sign of its high status. This type of glowing Aosaginohito that has been awarded 5 positions is called a 5-rank Aosaginohito. This glowing Aosaginohito that has been awarded the 5 positions of government is known as the 5 positions of light. 五味光, the 5 lights are also considered to be a derivative of the Aosaginohi shows. They are similar to the green heron flame described in the book. The book Nang was published in the autumn of 1805, the second year of the Bunka era. In the autumn of 1805, there is a record of a night heron. There is also a story about a night heron. In the autumn of 1805, there is a record of a night heron. There is also a story about a night heron. A man from Edo Yotsuya was walking at night when he met a man dressed in white who was not a night heron. He brushed past a man dressed in white, but not below the waist. He thought to himself, "Oh shit, I don't think I've met a ghost, have I?" As he was about to turn back to make sure, one of the man's eyes suddenly glowed. The frightened villagers rushed forward, beating and slashing. Seeing that the ghost had fallen to the ground, the villagers went up and took a good look at it. But it was a big night heron on the ground. Then he took the night heron back to the village. After cooked it, then he ate it. The story of cooking a ghost and eating it has become a legend in the streets. There are many stories of people being eaten by demons, but stories of demons being eaten by people are rare. In the late Edo period, there was a playwright, Sakuragawa Jibiko. In his book The Spring Journey of Changing Things, there is also an account of a sighting of a glowing night heron in Yamato Province, present-day Nara Prefecture. According to the story, the big willow tree called Hana Unagi, every night, it would emit a greenish-colored fire, causing panic among the people. One rainy night, a man thought, "On a rainy night, there shouldn't be a fire. When he got closer, the whole tree suddenly glowed greenish blue. The man fainted out of it. This strange phenomenon is thought to be the work of a green heron. In Seto Island, now Seto City, Niigata Prefecture, the plum tree and Nemotoji Temple, every night, a dragon lantern would fly over the tree, which was said to be a ghostly flame lit by the dragon god. When someone shot it down with an arrow, it was discovered to be an Aosaginohi.
Aosaginohi.
Aosaginohi is a black-toothed, pudgy-headed female demon who eats humans and often appears in dark old houses, holding a mirror in her hand at all times, making her extremely dangerous. She has a cruel life, but she was once a royal palace maiden, and she had a marriage contract before she joined the palace, but she had no choice but to enter the palace, and she made a promise to her Fiang that she would marry him after she left the palace. She and her Fiang agreed to get married after she left the palace, and her Fiang also promised to wait for her return. After joining the palace, she is in a dangerous situation with a lot of rivalries. However, with her persistence and perseverance, she gradually rises up the ranks and becomes quite powerful in the harem. Finally, she is qualified to leave the palace. When she returns home, she discovers that her Fiang has betrayed his vows and taken another woman as his wife. She cannot believe that her Fiang had betrayed her, so she waits in her old mansion. Over time, her hair became disheveled and her teeth went black. If someone comes to visit, she looks in the mirror to do her makeup. In fact, she peeps into the mirror to see if the person is her old lover, and if not, she kills them. As the hope of her old lover's rival grows dimmer and dimmer, her grudge grows. She eventually turns into a demon. The Aosaginohi, Ishion Toriyama, in his book, The Night Journey of 100 Ghosts, describes in the uninhabited cold palace, there is often a kind of ghost with loose hair and teeth coated with black iron paste. Originally, the term Aosaginohi referred to a young, uneducated girl. However, it seems that what Toriyama Ishion is referring to is a kind of ghost that is similar to a female specter. Once upon a time, a man traveled from the capital to the area of Mino and Wari. He set out late at night, and soon after he had started his journey, he met a woman dressed in green. "Where is the home of Dr. Minobu? Could you please take me there?" At the woman's request, the man reluctantly took her to the door of Dr. Minobu's house. He expected the woman to thank him and tell him where she came from. Instead, she disappeared as if she had evaporated from the earth. Immediately after that, he heard that someone had died in the house of Minbu Dafu, and everyone was in a state of confusion. The man was so creeped out that he cancelled his trip immediately. The next day, he asked a friend what had happened. At the house of Drive Minobu, the friend said that his wife, who had been abandoned by Dr. Minobu, she had appeared before him as a ghost, and that Drive Minobu had been cursed to death by her.
Aosaginohi.
There is a story in Taihei Hyakusuji, the story of the 100 Things, in Seikyo, Yamashiro Province, present-day Kyoto Prefecture, Japan. There lived a man named Hayo Takubi. One summer night, he encountered a demon in the temple. He was dozing in the corridor of the temple when he suddenly heard a voice calling his name, "Hayo Takubi, Hayo Takubi." He was startled and opened his eyes to see a bird shaped like an egret, black in color, with eyes like a torch, and a call like an egret. He opened his eyes and saw a blackbird that looked like an egret, with a torch-like gaze and a human-like cry, flapping its broad wings. He left the place in a hurry. He told the elders of the temple about it. The elders said, "Recently, some corpses have been temporarily placed in the temple. I am afraid that This is the cause of these corpses. It is said in the Tathagata that the corpse energy of new corpses transforms them into demons and ghosts. It also said that if a man was born with a strong grudge, he will turn into a unmaraki after death. In addition, if the deceased is buried in a grave without adequate support, his soul will also be transformed into this ghost. In ancient times, a man named Kui Saifu in Jiangsu once saw this kind of demon in the Dharma hall. In fact, the story of the Onmuraki originated from the classical Chinese book Kings and Lu, which tells of a period during the Song dynasty. A man named Kui Saifu was sleeping soundly in a temple outside the city. Suddenly, he was woken up by a sound. When he opened his eyes, he found a bird-like monster standing in front of him, but it soon disappeared. Later, Choi asked the abbot of the temple. The abbot said, "It's because the place where you're lying has just had a death some time ago. This is the ghost of the newly dead person's grievances." Some people also say that if the deceased had any grievances during his lifetime, especially if the monks did not pay respect to them at the time of burial, they will become onmurakas and they will spit blue flames. They will gather in the graveyard to suck the body's breath. Only monks can recite the sutra again properly and transcend. Then they can be freed and leave the demonic changes. It has a blue flame in its mouth, a horrible voice, speaks human language, and has a human face and a bird's body. It is said that when the corpses in the temple gather together, they will turn into onmurakas.
Omolaki